Wangechi?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm in transit, so bear with me because my video is off.
Okay.
So,
go ahead, please.
Okay. I'd like to give you greetings from Sister Professor Lando. She's in Nairobi, but at a spiritual retreat, and she says hello. Today's conversation has been very stimulating, very exciting. Just a week ago, I took our team through AI training for productivity. And I wish I had attended this before because of the conversation that has come up regarding the guidelines, the norms, the ethical considerations. I am now even considering a part 2 of that training. But how we have used AI in our practices as in PR is to use AI to find out more information, as Prof has said, to widen our knowledge about industry when we are giving our clients advice. Then it helps us to work a lot faster. And I also do church communication, and what we have done is to leverage on AI to do some of our trailer ads and leverage on AI to do snippets for the teachings that we give out. So with using Opus, we are able to almost have 20 snippets. You can imagine how many videographers you'd need for social media content to create those kind of snippets. But this is making us realize that we need fewer videographers, but AI-enabled videographers in our teams. So AI is then not an enemy, as somebody said, but those with AI skills will be able to retain or expand their skills and their relevance. So let's embrace AI, but ethically. Thank you very, very much. And I'm really glad I joined this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wangechi or Wangechi? How do I pronounce that?
It's pronounced as Wangechi, but spelled as CI.
All right, Wangechi.
Yeah. Yes, Wangechi.
All right, Prof, you were.
Yes, I like the challenge from Margaret Jack Adebisi. Very, very bold and straight. Yes, lecturers use AI, but not in the same way that students use them. You know, should use AI as a teaching and preparatory tool to structure their lectures, to generate examples, to visualize concepts, or summarize large body of material. You know, so that is support to his delivery or her delivery. It's support. Underline the word support to the delivery. It is not necessarily the delivery. He has a content to deliver. He wants AI to help him organize it in a way that he can be more efficient in delivering that message. This is different from a student who is not bringing in his thought process into it. He surrenders to AI to do the thinking for him or her, to do the reasoning for him or her, and all what we see today. Now, a simple analogy is a lecturer may use a calculator to design a mathematics problem. You can also ask, why is a student not allowed to use that calculator to also just answer it and submit the output from the calculator as proof that they understand the maths? It doesn't work that way, because there are learnings that you expect the student to imbibe and demonstrate. So the student is there to develop certain capabilities and certain competencies. If that process is truncated, the student remains shallow forever because AI can do it, so I don't need to think again. it becomes very difficult. And that's why when we mark assignments these days, it's not very exciting. When we read projects, it's not very exciting because from one assignment to the other, you're reading the same thing. Everything reads the same. And so it becomes a very big concern when you're thinking of education as a means towards national development. So the rules for you as a student, whether graduate or undergraduate, is do not outsource your thinking. AI should assist you in learning, but it should not replace it. That is the ethical line that we're talking about. And it protects the integrity of both the teacher and the student when we keep to that. There are, for instance, good example, you have people that didn't learn how to cook, but there are so many recipe books. So you pick a recipe book, you're cooking from the recipe book. At the end of the day, the flavor, you might be lucky to get it. You might not be lucky to get it. Something might also go wrong that the person didn't write in the book, and it becomes a problem. Like the example of the man who never learned flying, saw a manual and he says, press this, and he found himself in the cockpit. He pressed and he started going. And when he got to when he needs to land, the manual tells him that instruction is in part 2 of the manual, which he doesn't have. So when we have students that rely on AI, one day we'll end up with a country that is suspended because the student is dependent on a tool that doesn't even know his country. So the dangers there is that it weakens your thinking muscles as a student when you surrender your thinking to AI. It also creates an illusion of knowledge. You're supposed to acquire some knowledge, but because you are cheating, you're not really able to demonstrate the competencies expected of the qualification when you eventually get it. And that in itself is encouraging academic dishonesty. One that is dishonest academically cannot be a good leader, cannot contribute effectively to the development of his country. And then you must know that there is something you bring to the world that no other person can bring because you were created special. And that means that once you erode that originality, that voice that God created you to bring to reasoning, to managing situations, to understanding situations, to advancing ways to solve a particular phenomena, the world will lose it. So do not rob the world, do not rob your community, do not rob your society of that special voice, that special talent that God has given you. Allow your brain to exercise its normal function and give us the good ideas that we require to develop our nation. I think I'll leave it at that point. Michelle talked about writing from your head, and then you check it tells you that there's AI content. Michelle, at times, when you spend so much time with a particular idea, you're on the screen all the time. When you think that you're exercising your reasoning, you're actually talking like that too, that you have been spending time with without knowing. Haven't you been in a situation where you're having conversation with your friend about fried rice, and then you see something, and then you bring the fried rice to the thing that you're supposed to be talking about, because fried rice has been in your head, So sometimes we spend so much time with these tools that we begin to talk like them without knowing it. And so we need to be guided. We need to actually do some peer review, even when we do writing. You added with a good idea, we need to develop more and more of our own. We have some already, but the truth is that there are still things that need to be trained. AI tools need to be trained continuously. And then we must never rob the world of that special talent. Always originality. That is what you're bringing on board that Diego cannot bring, Dandara cannot bring, Teresa cannot bring. But Margaret will bring. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And EY Ibasi also agrees that AI needs to be is a tool that aids human endeavors and is not a replacement for our efforts. AI-generated materials should not be copied. and copied and pasted, but distilled and applied stroke added to are treated as ingredients for a meal, just like you said. It also needs to be understood that there's no shame in using AI, especially if properly acknowledged. The ill is in pretending the AI-generated content is one's own. So he said he agrees with Professor Dandaura. Please keep the comments coming. I see more comments. Allow the God-given talent in you to be a blessing to the world. Okay. Because what we wanted to do was also to find a roadmap for including AI in communication research. And I think from the conversations so far, our scholars in the house will be already seeing that there's some guidance in terms of transparency. I can see that we should be transparent when we use AI. We should use it to aid our work. Okay, Marjorie still has her hand up. Marjorie, you still, okay, let me allow you interject.
So I'm going to be as practical as possible because Prof knows that I'm a practical person. Even Teresa is now my best friend in practicality. Now, I came into the academics from my postgraduate diploma because I was transiting from accounting, finance to management. So I was asked to do a diploma first before I went in to do my master's. I realized that because from then on, I began to be what we call the course rep. Teresa, if you're not familiar with this term, it means the person who's the go in between, between the students and like the students rep, so to say. And I can tell you for free that before AI came into prominence, 90% of the students in the Rivers State University would outsource their project work to other people because they didn't have enough, not intelligence, they didn't have enough information on how to do the research work. The information was low, time was low, and basically they didn't want to fail. 90% alarming. I mean, I was the course rep, so I had an idea of what they were doing. Now, the 10% that tried to do this work on their own, 8% of them still at some point in time gave off their work, outsourced their work because they couldn't cope. It was difficult. We all had, the only thing accessible to us as we knew then was Google Scholar.com or something, where you go and see old papers and then you take from them and do what you had to do. And the 2% who tried to do their project work were people who, not for academic prowess, but they couldn't afford to pay someone to carry out their project. So they struggled and they struggled. We saw the pain because they were always thrown out. Their work was always thrown out because it was not up to standard. Now, from the postgraduate to the MSc, things began to change. We now had a support. Let me borrow Prof's word. We had a support, okay? But as at that time, we really didn't know how the support would work. I think that the support was also learning how to support us. I'm thinking, I'm not sure. Obed said, he was talking to people who were cleaning the data and all. I don't know about that. I'm still like, because I'm old school. So I'm going to take what's relevant to me and then run with it. But I noticed that there was a decline in people who were giving their works to other people, their projects to do. Now, because they had the support. And this support was getting them facts. We began to see stuff like, oh, you can't trust AI 100%. Other AIs began to come out to assist. People developed apps to assist students all over IG, Instagram, it was everywhere. We're getting assisted. Now, at my PhD level, I'll proudly say to you that at least 60% of us are currently deciding to do our projects ourselves. And this is because The AI is getting more balanced. We're beginning to understand how to do prompts properly. We're beginning to the paid version of these things. So because we have, started from, that 90%, sir, Prof, we realized that they would also go to the library, pick up other people's works and change the covers and give to these students. So it wasn't still effective. But now you could have that idea and you could speak it into an AI and it will shape your topic for you, your original topic. We're having more original topics featuring in our PhD now than we did when we were in our postgraduate and master level. So my question now is, this is what AI has done, gotten us to this place. We're taught research. I don't know how many percent understood research because we wrote the exams and a whooping 74% failed. And the rest of that passed, we still didn't know where to start from. We're still taught introduction, 1.1, and then the rest going down. Even up to our analysis, where we have to use the IBM SPS, we were not taught in school. It was AI who will still tell you how to label your variables to put it into this SPS.
Okay, Marjorie, please, could you go straight? I think we've got really your point, right?
So I still want to maintain that if you are intellectually lazy, as Prof started from the beginning, I'm not offended with the word, I'm just trying to clarify it. I don't think you'll be able to use AI appropriately. I think that is intelligent people who can actually use AI properly. It's not a question, it's just a fact that I want to tell Prof. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Margarian theory.
I wanted to bring in Teresa. I don't know, Teresa, some points to make.
Did you finish, Pado? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just to wrap up a little bit these ideas and what we've been dealing with, it's that on the one hand, I totally understand that that generative AI could help us in a way level the field in a way. For example, for us who are not native English speaker, we know that English is sort of a more global academic language. It helps us to convey our ideas more effectively. As Marjorie was saying, it's easier to do the coding now, for example, or things are getting more efficient, more productive, and in a way that could help us to level the playing field, right? But at the same time, we're getting into this productivity madness, right? In which we are all becoming more productive, more efficient, and what's the purpose? And we have to think about it as communication scholars or as scholars in general. Regarding now, what's one of the things that you have been saying? So it's not necessarily about whether we use AI or we don't use AI. As I said in the very beginning, now it's not a matter of choice. It's ingrained in all the softwares. And even disclosing it's going to become harder and harder because we are not even realizing that it's playing a role. So it's the how, right? And here we see a lot of inequalities. Even if we think about our own universities, just think our own universities, our own faculty, like the different professors, they have different approaches, different ideas regarding how we allow the students to use it, what's allowed and what's it's forbidden. We have a lot of different approaches. It's not just within our schools and universities, but also within our regions. So I think it's important to collaborate among professors and discuss among professors what are are our approaches in our own context, what are we going to allow, what not, and to provide a better guideline to students. In order to do that, I can tell you an experience. We ask a PhD student who is in Northwestern University at Northwestern. She's from Chile. So we told her, can you please do collect all the guidelines that are in the best communication schools around the world and in the different regions as well, to see how schools are dealing at the undergraduate, master's, and PhD levels, and what they are allowing, what they are not. And she found, and she did an excellent report, probably helped with AI as well, but I'm joking. But she did an excellent report on what it's allowed, what it's not, what they're discussing. And we see a lot of inequalities there. Though the best schools are having way better guidelines on what it's allowed and what's not, based on discussions that they had among professors, because even among professors, there are huge inequalities on understanding how it's used, what does it entail, what are the implications, etc. In Latin America, many schools did not have anything. It was totally laissez-faire. They relied on the professors' ideas. The students didn't know what was correct or not. There was no discussion. Not in all of them, but in many of them. So just a bottom line, I'm sorry to not give you like a nuts and bolts recipe for this, because it depends. Because it depends on the tools that we are allowing, it depends on how things evolve. But I totally think that we have to share our knowledge. Those of us who are doing research on AI should share our knowledge with professors that are not, okay? And develop some sort of guidelines that they're going to evolve every year. Yeah, they're going to evolve, but we need that, because otherwise they have to rely on like on individual professors who have a more clear idea, but sometimes they don't. So I really encourage, we are doing this, it's not easy. We get into discussions, heated discussions, but it's very important to have that and not just leave the students in the nowhere. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you quickly before you concluded that, this is, a lot of these conversations are with about generative AI. What of the other types of AI, maybe predictive AI that can forecast and do some things? Have you seen them in research, academic research, communications research, where maybe we aggregate a lot of data about how people react to certain kinds of content, and then AI can predict how people react and all of that? Have you seen things like that are not generative, but they are used in maybe some research?
Yeah, like a lot. All the machine learning, all the computational methods before generative AI were predictive, they were classifiers. They would classify. So most of the research that involved some computational method, and even for example, all the research on algorithmic platforms, on digital platforms, where all those were AI-related research. We call it in a different way. We call it machine learning. We call it algorithmic digital platforms, sorting content and everything. But all that was also AI-based. Do I answer the question?
Yes, you did.
Was it that question, Otto? Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, of course, it was all of that.
There are quite a number of hands up. Michelle still has a hand up, Obed, but I want to go to the other participants. We've got quite some scholars in the room, professors from different universities. I have Professor Desmond Okocha from Bingham University. I have Professor Seju Santas from Nasarawa State University. We already recognize Professor
Diego, there is also my former HOD who left the university before AI was invented, Dr. Felix Osamuji. So maybe he might want to contribute what it was then and now.
Okay.
He's in the house.
All right. Yes. Prof, and then before I go there straight away, Ruth has posted in the comment section. She said, I'm always scared of using AI as most scholars kick against it. For me, I see AI as an assistant tool that helps source research materials. In my understanding, it replaces physical library where obsolete materials are stored. And her point that I want to underscore here is the fact that most of the materials in our libraries are not as up to date for research. Okay,
well,
so
don't be afraid of using AI. The other point is it depends on the sources you're getting, because not everything you find on AI you can cite. You know, because anybody can upload data, and if AI searches and that's the database it accesses and gives you the answer, you cannot put it in your work. You must know that we cannot throw away journal articles, throw away textbooks and all that. They may not be current in most of our libraries, but know the sources you use. We must use AI. We can't run away from it, but knowing how to use it is all that we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Comments? Sorry, Prof. The HOD you talked about.
Dr. Felix Osamuji. I can see his name in the house.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for the opportunity. And for me, it's been a lot of information. Thank you for the very, very erudite way you've handled the sessions. Like Professor Dandara said, when we were very, very active those days, there was no AI. And so you had to rely on the only AI you had, that is your brain. And the truth is, I was just talking to somebody while the session started and we logged in, and I said to him, people just need to rely on their brains. And I think Prof already touched on that when he was talking about being, for want of a better word, being mentally lazy. And I said, there's nothing wrong with using AI if we consider AI as a tool to support what we do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because like I said, in the good old days, there was nothing like AI. And you still had people who wrote very good papers, people who did, outstanding research that today became the foundation of what a lot of the research that we're doing. And so if people will use AI just as a tool to support what they're doing, I believe that we will get the benefit of AI. AI itself is not bad. It is how are we using it? Are we allowing it to be the student instead of us being there and we become the support to AI? Whereas it shouldn't be that way. It should be people using AI to improve what they are doing. For instance, I did say to a student once, I said, you know what? There's nothing wrong with you writing what you want to write, and you feel you've not done well with the English, or you just feel it can be better restructured, and you ask AI to help you restructure it. It's different than going to AI and say, this is my topic, come up with the whole outline, do the write-up for me. Then the degree should be given to AI, not to you. Because you have not contributed anything. Like Prof said, every individual is unique. There's something you are supposed to contribute to learning. There's something you're supposed to contribute to education. If you hand that responsibility to AI, then what would you say you have learned? And so I personally don't think there's anything wrong with AI. I believe it's come and we must use it. And AI cannot replace human. In the first place, who provided all the information that AI is using? Human beings. So without human beings, AI would not be there. So it cannot replace. So when people try to use it to do what they should do, that's when the problem is. That it becomes unethical to do that. So that's just a little I want to contribute. I don't want to take too much of your time. But thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samuji. All right. So AI cannot replace us. We can use AI as a tool. All right. There are comments in the, yeah, who else wants to speak? Obed's hand is still up. I'll give Obed a 2-minute opportunity. Obed. And then Michelle.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I think what I want to say is, I think when I think about all the conversations that are being had, the first thing that came to my mind was Frantz Fanon's blackface white mask, and how it came to my mind because I'm thinking, is it really this, is the solution really creating our own systems? Or is it more so the case that the logics and the epistemes that these systems are built on, and that we would even use to build our own, are subjects of epistemic capture and epistemic colonialities? I'm thinking about this because I'm also thinking about how the Nigerian academy itself disciplines and disciplines students. So, for instance, you try to think a certain way, or you appear a certain way. You think a certain way, or appear a certain way, or speak a certain way. You are not the work that the your instructors do, even within higher education in Nigeria, is to bring you into conformity. Yes, the professors might say that they want you to go out and explore and expand and contribute individuality, but no, it's still bringing you into conformity in telling you who is to be cited, who is not to be cited, where knowledge and idea are to come from. And I'm thinking about that because in our uses of artificial intelligence or generative AI or different systems to come to form our knowledge, to do our work, to carry out our work, I think there's the place where we ourselves in the academy have to sit and ask ourselves, why are we having these conversations? Not that the conversation should not be had, but why? Why? Because the academy has been has historically been a place of exclusion, has historically excluded so many people. And right now, so many people are coming into the academy. So many people are being able to partake of this pie that is in the academy. And then while this thing is happening, while space is being created for people to come in and for people to sort of enter and take part, it's these conversations now are sort of geared in ways that we are looking to maybe cut the people who are coming in. And that's why I think the why question is very important. So it helps us to know who, how we proceed with these conversations, how we proceed to make sure that we are doing the work to include people who should be included,
All right.
People like myself, who are not often very included in academic spaces, people like Marjorie as well, who are also not very included in academic spaces and academic discussion, ways that not just saying, oh, use the system in this way, but to use the system in a way that will accommodate you and your unique complexity. I said myself because I'm, for one, a dyslexic person. So that is one thing that plays. I've never been an A student from primary school down to university. There, you see my notes, there are always like issues in writing. It's always there. So when we talk about using AI, we need to say, how do we use AI in ways that meet the needs of the people using it as well? That help
Okay.
us draw these people in as well. Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Obed, thank you very much.